Hello everybody and welcome to Amphlett Reviews, back with another Japanese deep dive into some anime this time around. I've been given a review copy to talk about Perfect Blue on this wonderful 4K edition, which I've already done an unboxing for. This is just absolutely incredible. If you're a mega fan of this film and you want to own it, this is definitely the way to go. You get the 4K Blu-ray, loads of special features, and just loads of goodies as well included. So this is just definitely a celebration of this film, and it's just one of those movies that I've just never got around to watching. It's been out for such a long time. There are loads of many iconic films within different kind of spaces, within anime or live action, and I am just a humble man. I've got a lot of access and a lot of insight now into more Hong Kong Japanese films, and just kind of exploring different directors and creators and actresses and actors, and finding these really unique kind of projects, and just kind of getting to explore them and share my thoughts and impressions with you guys on the channel. And Perfect Blue is definitely one of them for sure. Perfect Blue, released in 1997, directed by Satoshi, which has done some really signature kind of iconic anime films. Definitely seemed very knowledgeable, very kind of esteemed, and I love the special features diving into in terms of the extras, him talking about it like 20 years later in terms of the anniversary release for this edition, and just talking with the actress that he worked with and how he decided to make these decisions in terms of the anime, in terms of the writing, working with the creative team behind this film, and how its reception has become larger than life. And I've known about Perfect Blue for a very, very long time. It's referenced in a lot of material, in a lot of other movies, from Western movies and other Japanese films, of course. Black Swan is a direct kind of inspired from Perfect Blue. Obviously, he wanted to get the rights to that film, couldn't, so he made his own version instead with Natalie Portman, and doing it under kind of a ballet of the Black Swan, which is very, very clever. In retrospect, after watching Perfect Blue and then knowing what Black Swan is, it's very, very clever. I have been informed not to use any footage for the film, being the fact there is heavy copyright strikes if I use any sort of footage from Perfect Blue. So as mentioned, this film is so iconic and so well known, whether you're an anime fan or not. I think most people have seen this, especially if you picked up the 4K edition and celebrating this anniversary release. And I'm really happy to say this definitely lives up to the expectations and the kind of the craft, the quality level in terms of the anime, the writing, the performances. And I think it definitely kind of, does something in that space of that time, very much in theme of the Takashi Ishii, which I'm diving into now in terms of his filmography. This is released in 1997, the same year as a lot of the other kind of these cinemas and a lot of movies from Takashi Ishii in terms of his filmography, which you're talking about the Nami kind of archetype, which is based from manga. So it definitely has some kind of interconnection in terms of these themes. And we're following a character called Mima, pop star kind of icon in a kind of all free girl band. Essentially, she's been doing this for quite some time now. She's very famous, and she's got a huge following, cult following, and she wants to become an actress. She wants to break away from the group, and she announces this on a kind of a concert. She gets a small role within a kind of a cheesy kind of television series in Japan, which just from the inserts and the kind of the dialogue exchange definitely seems to be pretty bonkers, and it's a small role in that. And then as the film goes along, she gets opportunities to do some films and other bigger roles, and then eventually leading into some more kind of raunchier, more riskier kind of material in terms of explicit nudity, in terms of modeling. We get to see nude kind of sequences, and even a build-up to a very uncomfortable and extremely well handled in terms of how they want to go about in the story and the psychology of the character, in terms of getting an opportunity to do a rape scene, which just seems to be the norm for Japanese culture during the 90s. So many movies and so many women really kind of putting themselves out there in terms of doing this stuff, in terms of live action, very kind of demanding, raw, emotional roles, but challenging, but rewarding, I imagine, in terms of getting a really striking performance. And it's a shame that, a lot of the bigger roles for women seem to be either used and abused victims, or, revenge kind of filled characters that have to go through a lot of crap in terms of rape and torture and humiliation. And they get to show this, how this works. They actually show it in a kind of, I guess, of course, anime form, in terms of the staging and how a performance is, and what scenes they want to show. And it's very detailed and tastefully done in context of the story and her character in terms of where she goes from that point onwards, because she is breaking the fuck down in terms of what she's doing, you know, in terms of her comforts, her kind of status. There's the kind of the internet kind of presence as well. You've got a crazy deluded fan, which is pretending to be her and posting things out there, and to the point where, you know, saying this woman is basically an imposter, a phony, breaking away from her kind of pop star kind of status in terms of the clothing and imagery. And, you know, the fact that she would never do this. She would never degrade herself to do nude mags or to do a rape sequence. And, you know, she's not the same person that she is. Very deliberately done in terms of where it goes. And again, that leads into a much heavier confrontation later on, where it kind of mirrors the kind of the staging of this sequence into something much more harsher in the third act of the film. And again, you get to see her psychological journey and how she views herself internally, externally, how other people see her. And it gets to a point where we're not too sure exactly what is going on. We're not sure if what we're seeing is true. We're a very unreliable narrator for the most of the second to the third act of the film. And we don't know if these sequences actually have taken place or not. And it's an interesting journey. And it's a very difficult one, again, to talk about in terms of spoilers and in terms of where it goes ultimately. But I think it's, in terms of a film like this for the 90s, is very on point, very on brand in terms of mid-90s kind of explorative archetypes in terms of women, in terms of their status, their opportunities, their value, how she values herself, how her agents value her, however creepy kind of stalkerish men value her and see her, and, you know, what she has to go through to get to a place that is healthy, is satisfying to her, you know, is challenging. And I think it's a really big deconstruction. That's something that can be talked about for a very long time. And from the extras alone, there is so many loads of material on this kind of subject matter and exploring the character and giving you more insight into how this is put together. And definitely very much an adult, very 18 rated kind of anime that is, again, very tastefully done, very creative, has some interesting characters, and a real kind of push to do something quite different, and definitely feels appropriate to do this review and to talk about this alongside the Takashi Ishii's work too at the moment. So yeah, in terms of Perfect Blue, without diving into heavier spoilers, it definitely pushes the envelope. It definitely goes above and beyond that I would have expected for something like this to do. It's a very hard R-rated, 18 rated anime film. It definitely has some explicit nudity. Definitely worth picking up. Definitely worth checking out if you want to watch the film. It is available on Crunchyroll. If you do want to pick up the 4K or Blu-ray, it is available. What are your thoughts and impressions on Perfect Blue? Please comment down below. Let us know your thoughts, guys. So meantime, guys, after the reviews, signing out.